Hello, I'm Dr. Mark Mitchell. I'm a professor of zoological medicine at Louisiana State University School of Veterinary Medicine. Today, we're going to talk about hermit crabs. Hermit crabs are actually very friendly and social animals. As with any pets, it's always important to make sure that you get all of your supplies and set them up before you bring your new pets home. And when we're talking about hermit crabs, it's important to recognize that these are very long-lived animals. They can live up to 10 years. And in doing so, we want to make sure that they have the best life they can in captivity. So again, when you bring your hermit crabs home, don't just bring one, bring two or a small group of them. That'll ensure that they have a good quality of life. When setting up your habitat, it's important to start with the enclosure. We recommend a minimum 10-gallon aquarium or plastic container of a similar size. This will house at least 2 small crabs. It's really important when you set this enclosure up that you don't put it in front of a drafty area or by direct sunlight, as that can heat the enclosure or keep it too cool and affect the body temperature of these hermit crabs. They're ectotherms, which means that they regulate their body temperature based on their environment, which is a little bit different from us. It's also important that you have a screen cover to put on top of the enclosure, such as this. This helps to ensure that the hermit crabs don't get out. Moms don't like hermit crabs getting out of their enclosures. So with this enclosure and a few clips, hermit crabs will be safe in that habitat. The next thing we want to do is set up the substrate. Substrate's really important for hermit crabs because these animals are natural burrowers. They like to actually get into the sand itself. It's important that you put enough substrate into your enclosure so that the hermit crab can actually undergo its molting process, which is a very stressful process. To ensure that you have a deep enough sand, it should be 3 times as deep as the height of your largest crab. In this case, we've already put 1 bag of our Hermit Beach in here, and I'm about to put the second bag in. This blend actually is a combination of premium sand, coconut fiber, and probiotics. These are essential to the health of our hermit crabs. Some people like to use calcium carbonate sand, but that's very firm and it'll actually stick to the legs and the abdomen and make it very challenging for the hermit crabs. Once you put the substrate in, spread it out to even it out, and again, make sure it's deep enough for your hermit crabs. Now that we've added our substrate, it's time to add our food and water bowls. For this, we'll want a minimum of 3 bowls, 2 for water and 1 for the food. For the water bowls, we actually recommend the Fluker's Rock Corner water bowl, as well as the Fluker's Lagoon or in-ground water bowl. It's important that the water bowls are deep enough that the hermit crabs can actually submerge completely in them. They'll be able to get their way in and out because we'll talk about using sponges later. With your freshwater corner bowl, place it right into the corner of the habitat, fill with water, and it's really important that you dechlorinate the tap water with a conditioner, and we recommend the Fluker's freshwater conditioner. Add 4 drops to 1 cup. Chlorine can be very toxic to our hermit crabs, so it's important that we get rid of it. We also then recommend for our deep lagoon type bowl using a conditioner. For this, we use Fluker's saltwater concentrate and conditioner. Not only does this dechlorinate the water, but it adds important nutrients and salt to the water as well. For this, you can actually add 1 teaspoon per 8 ounces of water. Let's take a minute to talk about the importance of salt for hermit crabs. Salt is essential to these animals because they come from marine environments. And the salt helps with the movement of fluid in and out of the hermit crabs. To help them with that, we have got 2 products. One is a saltwater conditioner and concentrate, and this product actually should be used anytime that you're using tap water to help remove chlorine and chloramines because they're highly toxic to our hermit crabs. In addition to removing those things, it also adds salts and essential trace minerals, such as calcium, which are important to the long-term health of our hermit crabs. Another product we have is a salt concentrate that comes in a solid form. It as well can be used in our deep water lagoon to provide a soaking bath. This product doesn't have a dechlorinator, so this might be something you use with bottled water. As I mentioned, for those deeper water bowls, we recommend using sponges. These sponges contain chitin and other nutrients, things like natural shells that the crabs will eat and get some calcium from. It also helps them get in and out of the water bowls. For the food, we recommend using the rock feeding dish. You'll notice this is a much shallower bowl. The hermit crabs won't have to put forth so much effort to get in and out. Hermit crabs are really quite active animals, and while they're being active, they like to burrow and they like to climb. They really do like to climb. And in doing so, we want to make sure that we have the most appropriate equipment for them. We recommend things like the Fluker's Critter Cavern half log, as well as the Habicave, as well as driftwood and live moss. You can just place the driftwood anywhere in the enclosure, and again, will help with the activity for our hermit crabs. The moss can also be placed in and wetted down, and the hermit crabs will actually chew on that, and that helps to provide them a source of trace elements as well as small bugs that they'll get out of that. In addition to those products, another Fluker's product that we have is the Castle Crib. It combines a basking platform as well as a cave and another water source as well. That can be placed inside the cage, and you can either make it a freshwater or a saltwater bath. In doing so, don't forget to add an extra sponge. In addition to those accessories, some other things that we recommend are Fluker's catalpa leaves. These catalpa leaves are nice for putting in the bottom of the enclosure because it gives the hermit crabs something to burrow underneath, gives them a little extra sense of security, and it's also a high form of cellulose, so they'll actually use it as part of their diet. Finally, our hermit crabs, while we put them in this habitat, are really living in a whole nother home themselves. And it's important that we provide them with growth shells, such as these Fluker Farms hermit crab growth shells, that are larger than the current size of the hermit crabs. When they undergo their molt, they'll actually go and look for a little bit bigger shell. And we want to make sure we have them in there because they're really delicate at that time of molting. Temperature and humidity are really important for our hermit crabs because hermit crabs are ectotherms. Being ectotherms, they regulate their body temperature from the environment. These guys really have a preference of their environmental temperature being between about 72 and 82 degrees. And there's a couple different ways we can provide them that. One is to use an under-tank heater, and the other is to use an incandescent light source and a clamp lamp. We recommend, if you're using an under-tank heater, the hermit crab heat mat. This heat mat can actually just be placed directly underneath the enclosure and plugged into the wall. This will provide a certain point source of temperature, which the temperature can radiate out from that point. My preference is to go ahead and use a clamp lamp because this really mimics the sun itself. And the clamp lamp can be put directly on top of the enclosure and provide some radiant heat. We have a couple different types of bulbs that we can use. One is a daylight bulb. It will just generate heat and light. And the other is a black lamp. The black lamp will actually allow us to visualize the animals at night, and they can't really see the lamp, so it allows us to see them if they're actually being a little bit more active. Humidity is also really important for our hermit crabs. It's essential that we keep the moisture levels up because the moisture helps to ensure that they can respire as they should, as well as prevent desiccation or dehydration. We always like our humidity to be somewhere between 60 and 80% for our hermit crabs. The way that we can actually maintain the humidity is to use a mister, such as the Fluker's Reptisprayer, with dechlorinated tap water. Remember, the freshwater dechlorinator that we talked about earlier for the water bowl can also be used here as well, 4 drops per 8 ounces. You can go ahead and spray liberally within the enclosure, and depending on where you live, you'll want to be able to check that humidity regularly to maintain that level. And of course, to know what the humidity level is, we recommend the Fluker's Combo Thermal Hygrometer. Not only will this tell us about the humidity, but it'll also tell us about the temperature. And we can maintain that 60 to 80% humidity and 72 to 82 degree temperature by moving our device around the back of the enclosure. Next, I'd like to talk about feeding our hermit crabs. Hermit crabs are omnivores. That means they like both plant and animal material. They're also not very picky, and they're classically considered scavengers, meaning that they'll eat just about anything. At Flukers, we realize that there's a diverse amount of foods that we want to give them to ensure that they have the best nutrition. The more we offer, the more we're sure that we're going to cover protein levels and fiber levels all the way down to the trace elements. To do that, we have several types of diets that you can use for your hermit crabs. We have pelleted foods, such as this premium blend, or a premium blend mash as well. These are more of a complete diet. They can also be supplemented, however, with canned river shrimp. For those who actually just want to try one type of diet, we have the buffet blend, which is already kind of a pre-mix of those types of diets. Again, trying to give your hermit crab the most diverse diet possible. When you are feeding your hermit crabs, it's important to do it at night because that's when they're really most active. And always remove any uneaten food in the morning because it can mold. Hermit crabs actually also need a lot of calcium. While we need calcium for our endoskeleton, they need it for the support of their exoskeleton. And Flukers has a calcium supplement specific for hermit crabs that can be dusted right on top of the diets. For those who actually want to try to enhance the color or diversify their diet even more, we have both a purple as well as a red color enhancer. These can be used in supplementation with the other diets, and again, put them on a rotation so just like ourselves, the more diverse and the more different our diets, the less bored we get with them. Now it's time to introduce our hermit crabs to their new habitat. With your hermit crabs, it's really important at first to go ahead and grab them and restrain them by the point of the shell. This way you're not going to hurt them at all, and you may find that they want to remain tucked in, or they may want to start to see what's happening out there. Certainly, you can hold your hermit crabs in your open palm just like this, and as they become more active, they'll start to walk on you because again, they really do like to climb. Gently place them into the enclosure and let them kind of find their way. Give them a little bit of time. I'd also like to go ahead and talk about some additional concerns with handling and safety as well. It's important when your hermit crab is molting, you isolate them because their bodies are soft and they're easily damaged. It's also really important that you never release your hermit crabs into the wild. They're not very likely to survive, and they can cause harm to the ecosystem in those cases. You should also always consider contacting a veterinarian if your hermit crab has decreased appetite or activity, seems to spend a lot of time outside its shell, seems to really be molting quite a bit, has lost entire limbs or claws, or has a strong odor coming from the shell. There are a number of veterinarians that are more than willing to see sick hermit crabs. I hope you learned something today about hermit crabs. For more information, you can visit our website at flukerfarms.com and check out our Hermit headquarters specialty shop there.